Okay, good night and welcome again. We are continuing on government. As last week we went over what is a government and the different definition. You guys could review the tape and you guys could get updated with that past teaching. And as we know, our country is about to change rulership or government or leadership, as it were. And what is important is that if we don't know the purpose of government, the reason for government, and how government actually are established, then we're just going to be as with any other society, just going with the flow of things. Government are necessary in order to extend the rule or the arm of the Creator. Government is a fundamental aspect of God's creation. And we know that from the Torah. And if when you go home, you know, you could read from Exodus 20, you could read Leviticus, and it all deals with the law from Exodus 18 going up, 21, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It deals with all the law, the ceremonial laws. It deals in Leviticus also in 18. It deals with the ceremonial laws, the legal laws, the family law, civil law, divine law. And all these laws are of great importance. Why are they of importance? Because the main purpose for government, as we said last week, is what? Devoda, right? Devoda. And what we say devoda is to be under the will or under the will of another. Under the will of another. And that sounds somewhat like what? Not too kind to be under the will of another. Because government, as we said before, is to what? Create an environment of what? Of work for all its individual. And what government basically do, it sets jurisdiction. So you have jurisdiction for family, for church, and also for civil government. So these jurisdiction, that means the government can't go and cross different boundaries. Jurisdiction basically is that is which you ascribe to and you operate within the laws that are set there. So what are some of the laws that we have in our state, like New York State? Some of the laws that we have. You can't bear arms, right, without the various licenses. You can't carry arms without that license and out getting the criterion from the police department. Although it's a federal law for all, the Second Amendment, all have the right to do what? To bear arms. But yet still in our state, the law is you can't bear arms. So now it's incumbent upon every citizen in New York State to know that they can't what? Carry arms. Because if you carry arms, you're going to be in violation of the law, and that's a state law. Now, what we call family law, or church law, or ecclesiastical law. Now, family law and ecclesiastical laws are two different laws, because we can have family laws in our home, which is totally different from ecclesiastical and civil law. Meaning, when you're in a family, you have family law. Meaning, certain families say, well, you know, most black folks in America, they say, no, I make you, I bring you into this world, I can what? Take you out of this world. Meaning, if you do certain things inside here, I will what?
Kill you.
I will kill you or discipline you with the word that most people don't like. They don't like that word. And some of the family, they're going to use profanities, they're going to use the rod, not in the right manner, but in a very destructive manner. So now, how do we relate with all these different laws? How can we separate family law from ecclesiastical law, civil law, and divine law, because each have their place of what? Operation. Because now you could discipline your child in your home. In family law, that's your family, you could discipline them. But could you kill your child? Is any way Brother Ezra say yes, he can kill his child, right?
I mean, I'm not joking. I mean, in Astoria, they did kill the kid because the kid was doing drugs. He told him, if you bring your brother into that drug, I will bury you.
Yes.
Yes.
And he bury you.
Good. Right. And he now taking the life of that individual, he now break which law? He broke a civil law. Because regardless of what law you pass in your home, you are now what? Under which law? The civil law, state law, governmental rule. And governmental rule is to ensure the security of all what? We talked about it last week. Life, liberty, and happiness, personhood. Governmental law is to ensure what? Personhood exists. That's civil law, basically, in a nutshell. And that is divinely given. So the civil law is, their jurisdiction is to make sure that you don't what? Kill your children or your husband or your wife in your home. Because you are now under what? The governmental law. So now, most people, they tend to want to mix or say there isn't any division or jurisdiction in these laws and government. And how we know that to date? We know that right now, who's coming into our home, into our churches, and into our private institution and saying this is how you must do things. Who's doing that?
The government.
The government.
Teachers.
The teachers. What are they doing? They are saying that you must abide by whose law? The civil law, the federal law. Your personal family law and ecclesiastical law is what? Subject to which law? The governmental law. Are all governmental law divine law?
No.
So then if the government is making laws that are not in correspondent with the divine laws, what are we to do? Are we to follow them? Why not?
Because it goes against our greater purpose.
It goes against the greater purpose. It goes against the greater good. Because that which the government are instituting, is it healthy for our society? Let's say, take for example, with what's the word? The law what just passed? Obergefell law.
Decision.
Obergefell decision. It's law now. It becomes the law enacted. The Obergefell decision, it becomes law. So now that law says that you could what? You could marry who you could marry who you want, and you could change whatever sex you want to be. There's an article I was reading this week. My wife sent it to me about this Jewish rabbi. What's his name? Samet. Right? Rabbi Samet. And what he says is that God is what? God is cross-gender. God is transgender, cross-gender, transgender, any kind of gender you want to put it. So now God in himself, from his perspective, God is both male and female. And all of that goes against now the personhood of God. It shows the ignorance of the teachers, the rabbis, the pastors, when these men who goes to seminary and come out with their degree and now ascribing unto the Creator human elements, identifying the Creator with human things. Can we identify God with any human elements? We can't, and we shouldn't. Because once we do that, we're going against what? Divine law. God, Yahweh told Moses in Exodus 20, I am the Lord thy God. I am the Lord thy God. That in itself is that first divine law that set all precedent, meaning he is not identified with what? Anything in this existence, in this realm. And if he's not identified with anything in this existence, nothing could be compared to him. Nothing could associate with him. And nothing could come out of him. For nothing relates with him. Because he is. And to be is, that means you're what? That means you're inexplainable with the use of the material that has now been what? Given to us all. We can't define him. So government responsibility is to establish law. Whose laws first? Divine law. Now government as we know it no longer ascribes